Good morning, I am Renu Sharma, Assistant Professor, EC Department. Today I am going to start with the next part of wireless and mobile communication subject, and the topic of today's lecture is WLL, that is wireless local loop. So, these are the contents of today's lecture, that is WLL and its working. We are going to discuss its working in detail and various terms associated with this WLL, that is wireless local loop. Now, this diagram is showing that what we are going to discuss, like first one is this is the local loop, and you can see that these are the three buildings that is connected with, this is connected with cable local loop, this is connected with telephone local loop, and this is how this is connected to a wireless local loop. Now, this is the WLL configuration, this is how the GSM is connected to this WLL like BTS, BTS is connected to this building, and then this is connected through wireless local loop. So, this is the introduction of WLL. Now, what is WLL? So, in a telephone network, a wireless local loop is a general term for an access system that use a wireless link to connect subscriber to the local telephone station in place of conventional copper wire. So, what is done in the first generation communication, GSM is second generation. In first generation communication system, it is strictly used for the transmission of the voice signals. Voice signals means used for the transmission of used for telephone purpose, you can say in a simpler way. So, the telephone link that has been set up is been done into different types of wires. So, first type of wire that is initially used is known as twisted pair cable, where two copper wires which are insulated, and then these are twisted together, the positive and the negative term. So, that is the simplest kind. Second type of wire that has been used is the copper wire, and after that depending on the application, and since we want to communicate over a longer distance. So, for that optical fiber cables are used. So, that is the case where this wires comes into the picture. So, when this communication is been done using wireless technology, so that is known as wireless local loop. In a fixed wireless access system, the wireless local loop is popular. WLL is also called as fixed wireless loop. The function of a WLL is to make primary access to local telephone station using wireless link. So, that is the main aim of using this wireless local loop. Now, WLL, in the WLL system, there are two components that are used, namely first one is narrow band WLL, which offers a replacement for existing telephony services, and also broadband WLL. So, it provides the high speed two-way voice and data service. So, WLL can handle high data traffic in the local loop system. So, there are two types of WLL, narrow band and broadband case, where narrow band is used for it has replaced the existing telephony services, which means it has replaced the copper wires that are used for delivering the voice signals, and in case of this broadband it will also provide voice data transmission, that is the main aim of first generation, and also it is used to deliver the data services also, and it can handle high data traffic. Next is how it works. So, WLL, which stands for wireless local loop, connects the subscriber to the PSTN, that is public switch telephone network, using radio signals as a substitute for copper for all or part of the connection between the subscriber and the switch. So, basically how this will work, it will going to connect the subscriber. Subscriber means a user is connected to the public switch telephone network, which means what we have discussed in the GSM, where a mobile phone is connected to different types of networks. It can be data network, it can be PSTN, it can be ISTN. So, all this will be connected over radio signals, means it is been not a wired connection is required between the transmitter and receiver. So, WLL phones in home offices or even boards connect with a wireless system in a manner similar to that of a CDMA cell phone. So, that is the case of WLL. Now, this is the general type of WLL setup. Now, you can see like this is the telephone central office. Now, this telephone central office is connected to this PSTN, that is public switch telephone network. Now, to this a satellite uplink will be there. So, a satellite will be connected through this particular antenna. Now, this telephone central office will going to receive or can transmit the signal through this link, and then it is connected to a radio based repeater. So, that is known as a RS hub. Up to it can connect up to 24 channels, that is the very basic standard form of number of channels that can be connected at a single link that has been set up. Then typical subscriber location is there, where a fax machine is connected, telephone, modem, remote subscriber unit. So, all these are connected to this typical subscriber location. Now, since you have seen that number of different locations are connected to this radio based repeater using this wireless local loop. So, this is the generalized kind of WLL setup, which has shown that how these different operations can be done using a wireless local loop. Now, this is the configuration of WLL. Now, you can see that this is a switching center, mobile switching center. This is a wired link, means a copper wire. So, you can generally say that the distance between this and the base station antenna is specified. It cannot be thousands of kilometer, because a wire cannot be connected through this. But when we are talking about we want to deliver a good quality of information and also over a very long distance, then wireless link comes into the picture. This base station antenna will going to connect the residence, office building, government agency, all this is connected over a wireless link. So, that is the WLL configuration. So, when you can see from this particular diagram that when the distance between the two regions that you want to connect is very small, then wired connection is required, and when it is quite large, then wireless connection is required. Now, access technology. So, there are different types of access technologies are there. Now, this is frequency division multiple access, FDMA, CDMA, TDMA. The one which is used in India is CDMA. So, what is this? First, we will see what is multiple access. Let us say there are 3 users, user 1, user 2, user 3, or what we have seen till now in the previous slide. Like let us say this is a telephone, this is fax machine, this is modem. All these 3 activities has to be connected, and they want to access a common channel, and these will going to deliver the data to 3 different places, and this is known as a channel. So, these are the 3 users, the data has to be delivered to 3 different users. So, this is how. Now, frequency division multiplexing means that whatever frequency is allocated for this particular type of transmission, it has to be equally divided among 3 different users, and these are being divided by inserting the guard band. So, this is nothing, this is the guard band which has been inserted between these 2 places. So, this is user 1 data, this is user 2 data, and this will be user 3 data. So, this is the guard band which has to be inserted between 3 different users. This is about frequency division multiplexing. Now, when we are talking about time division multiple access, time division multiple access means the total time has to be divided among these users, and at every time, let us say for first 5 minutes, first user has to transmit the data. So, for first 5 minutes the whole channel is allocated to this user. For the next 5 minutes the second user will going to access this whole channel. So, that is the case which will going to speed up the transmission, which will provide a better transmission and reception quality in case of TDMA as compared to FDMA. But when we are talking about this code division multiple access, this is way much better than FDMA and TDMA, which are already exist. In case of CDMA, there are different types of codes that are generated, which will going to allow the different users to access the channel, or these codes are associated with the voltage tables. Let us say 2 cross 2 voltage table is there, 4 cross 4 voltage table is there. So, all these voltage tables will going to generate some specific codes that has to be allocated to different users. Now, these users will going to deliver the data. So, for this particular application we have used this CDMA technique. Now, features are, it will provide best quality of service compatible with other cellular technologies. Scalability, scalability means large number of users can use a common channel. Now, next is categories of implementation of WLL. So, first one is analog cellular, then digital cellular, personal communication networks PCN or personal communication services PCS is there. Next is digitally enhanced cordless telecommunication, that is known as DECT. Proprietary implementations are there, local multi-point distribution services are there, that is LMDS. Multi-channel multi-point distribution service, that is MMDS, is also associated with this implementation. Now, next is core network. Now, core network is basically having IP edge router. This IP edge router has to be connected to different types of services that are provided, that is known as airspan, point to multi-point wireless broadband. So, you can see a single antenna is going to deliver the data to this SPR, SDA, now this IDR, this one BSDU. So, this is how the data has been transmitted over the multiple areas. So, broadcasting is been there. Now, analog cellular. So, first generation is basically related to this AMS. AMS means advanced mobile phone system. So, basically the system has been set up for transmission of the voice signals. Next one is Nordic mobile telephone, NMT, then total access communication system, that is TACs are there. Its limitations are, first one is capacity, another one is the functionality. So, these are the two limitations of setting up this analog cellular architecture. Now, you can see that this is a setup, this is known as remote, then this is connected via local loop to these 3 points, like this is telephone, this is apartment, and this is the system and business park. So, that is how through this remote 3 different 4 to 5 different areas are connected. So, this is related to the analog cellular. Next one is digital cellular. Digital cellular is when the data is in the digital form, you want the communication, the transmission of the signal in the form of digital. So, that is first one is GSM, that is global system for mobile, then this one is ETTMA, then CDMA. CDMA is nothing, it is the code division multiple access. So, benefit of using this digital cellular is wide availability, functionality, capability. So, this is the digital cellular system. Now, next comes the PCS or PCN. So, what is PCS or PCN? It incorporates the elements of digital cellular and cordless standards as well as radio frequency protocols. So, this is the variation of the digital cellular system that we have discussed in the previous slide, and it will going to PCS and PCN will incorporate the element of this digital cellular and the cordless standard along with the radio frequency protocols. So, it offers low mobility wireless services using low power antennas and lightweight inexpensive headsets, which means that the transmitter and receiver are not moving in nature much, it will be of low mobility. PCN is a city communication system with far less range than cellular, means the transmission of the signal which is done to different area, it is done to a limited range, means the range for which the communication is being set up is limited, which is being done using this PCN. Now, PCS or PCN has an advantage of having designed specifically to provide WLL by public wireless operators. Next one is DECT. So, cordless telephony was originally developed to provide wireless access within a residence of business between a base station and a handset. DECT is considered WLL when a public network operator provides wireless service directly to the user via this technology. So, although this DECT does not appear to be ideally suited for rural or low density applications, it can be used. It has some significant advantages in medium density to high density area. So, DECT is nothing, it has been considered when a public network operator provides wireless services directly to the user via technology that has been used, and it will not appear to be ideally suited for rural or low density applications, and it has some significant advantages in medium density. Medium density, now what we are talking about density over here, the population. Let us say in rural area where the population is quite less, and in case of urban areas where the population is quite large. So, where the population is quite large, definitely there will be lot of distraction and the line of sight that will be set up between the transmitter and receiver is not good enough for the proper reception of the signal. There are a lot of factors that comes into picture, like scattering is there, diffraction, reflection and refraction. So, these are some of the parameters that will going to reduce the quality of the signal which will be received at the receiver side. Also, multipath propagation will be there, which will going to reduce the quality of the signal, and a single signal will going to travel different areas, and these all together will be added at the receiver side, that will going to provide the composite signal. So, that is the case of multipath propagation, and all these factors will reduce the quality of the signal what we have received. So, that is the case with DECT. Now, DECT cordless telephony has advantage in terms of scalability and functionality. Scalability means larger number of users can accommodate, can use a common channel, means larger number of users can use a better option. So, as compared to the cellular telephony, DECT is capable of carrying high levels of traffic, provides better voice quality and can transmit data at higher rates. The microcell cell architecture of DECT allows it to be deployed in smaller increments that more closely match the subscriber demand with the reduced initial capital requirement. So, that is the case with DECT. Next one is LDMS transmission. So, what is this LDMS transmission? LDMS means point to point transmission will be there, like point to multi point transmission simultaneous to all the remote stations are there. So, you can see over here like different buildings are there, they are being, so that is the case of you can say broadcasting where there is only one transmitter and more than one receivers are there. So, this is a case of point to multi point transmission. So, it is simultaneously transmitted to all the remote stations. So, at this is a kind of two-way communication. Now, you can see that it can transmit and it can receive at the same point of time. So, that is the LMDS transmission. Now, next is multi-channel multi-point distribution service. So, MMDS is a broadcasting and communication service that operates in ultra high frequency portion of the radio spectrum. So, this radio spectrum is divided into different frequency range like VLF, HF, UHF. So, in the frequency range of UHF, this multi-channel multi-point distribution service will work. Its spectrum is between 2.1 to 2.7 gigahertz. MMDS is also known as wireless cable. In MMDS, a medium power transmitter is located with the omnidirectional broadcast antenna at or near the highest topographical point in the intended coverage area, the workable radius can reach up to 70 miles in the flat terrain. So, that is the case with MMDS, that a medium power transmitter is allocated, is required for the purpose of transmission. So, next is this fixed broadband wireless technology similar to LMDS that has been used. It can transmit video, voice or data signals at 1.5 to 2 Mbps of speed downstream and 320 kbps of upstream data will be there. So, that is the case for multi-channel multi-point distribution service. Now, this is the architecture of this MMDS. You can see MMDS infrastructure. Now, you can see LAN is being set up, that is local area network is being set up in this particular building, where this is a bus topology. Now, to this bus topology there are different systems which are connected, like there are 4 different computers are connected. These are known as nodes, and this is the main hub to which this LAN is connected. So, that is known as MMDS modem. Now, this will be an antenna. To this antenna there are different types of networks are connected. This will be an hub equipment, this is carriers network, and this will be the internet. To this internet carrier network is there, and to this there is an hub equipment which has been connected over here. Now, the advantages and disadvantages are: advantage is that it high signal strength is provided in this case, that is MMDS. Cell size is large. Now, what is cell size? When cell size is large, let us say this is a geographical area and you want to provide the communication, mobile communication in this area. So, this particular geographical area is divided into cells, and the structure of each cell is equivalent to a hexagon. Why hexagon? Because when you are combining the hexagon, there is no space left between 2 hexagons, which will provide no connectivity between these 2 areas. So, that is the case with hexagon. Less cost than LMDS will be there, it will provide larger wavelength. Disadvantage of this is physical limitations are there. So, that is the case with MMDS. Now, what are the advantages of WLL? WLL advantage is the cost of wireless equipment is less, because easy installation is also there, because when we are talking about wireless communication, whatever we want to transmit the information, we do not require to set up any wired connection. That requires use of manpower is required to set up a wire connection, and also the maintenance is required. But in case of WLL, the maintenance cost is quite less and it does not require frequent maintenance work, and it has it is easy to install, they have good scale of installation. So, that is the advantage of WLL. So, these are the references that you can consider for this topic. Thank you.